Hey, I'm on a podcast called MMO Underground, in case you didn't know. It's really an hour-long collection of MMO news, hosted by that guy who used to push all your blogs off the Blistered Thumbs blog page, that guy who makes a sport of pissing off MMO players, and the guy I stabbed in the face at the end of my Eden Returnal review who taught me how to play League of Legends. Also, I talk out of my ass the entire time. High-quality stuff. The only reason I mention this now is because I was informed of a title that intrigued me, and since MagFest took up all my time this past week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, I figured it was simple enough to get done quicker. We all know how well that turned out. Remember how I said that some MMOs were puzzle games and others could play right in your browser? Well, this game covers both. This is the MMO Grinder, and it's time to look at Doctor Who Worlds in Time. Sorry, Whovians, that's all you're going to get out of me. Published by the BBC, developed by Three Rings, and made playable publicly, a few weeks ago, Doctor Who Worlds in Time is a browser-based, flash-run puzzle MMO that delves into the Doctor Who universe, specifically during the 11th Doctor's run. While I am not going to give you the entire history of Doctor Who, at the risk of being told I didn't do enough basic research, I will at least give you a quick rundown of the story in this game, and you can go look up the rest of the Doctor Who lore on your own. The story of Worlds in Time involves the 11th Doctor noticing bits of time is shattered into black crystal shards and scattered all over the universe. It's your job to travel with the TARDIS and recover the shards, and restore order to the places you find along the way. Wondering just how the hell this works out? Well, let's get to it. Since the entire game is in Flash, you can expect some rather cartoony visuals. The 11th Doctor is easily recognized a cartoony character of himself, and the rest of the characters all have a similar look with limited options to look different. There's a good chance you'll find someone that looks exactly like you when playing this game. The characters also move very stiff and with goofy animations, like when you have to battle and they stand there swatting the air while the battle's going on. Things seem to get slower as you have more people with you, especially when you have different assistants assign themselves to different puzzles. I am not sure if this is based entirely on internet connection or my terrible processor, but playing some puzzles is outright frustrating when the game is chugging along to accommodate all the animations going on needlessly in the background. The puzzles look nice enough, nothing fancy, and all falling into theme with the game's graphics, but I'm not a fan of the battle puzzle being the same game with different coats of paint. I especially don't like the Auton version of the game, as the color palette can get confusing, leading to easy mistakes. For those of you wanting to hear the iconic Doctor Who theme and the orchestrated soundtrack by Murray Gold, look elsewhere. This music is very slow, low-key, and really kinda repetitive. There's barely any variety in the songs, and some of them outright put me to sleep. I'd highly suggest providing your own soundtrack. It's also the reason you're hearing the actual Doctor Who soundtrack instead of the music used in this game. Not that I couldn't figure out a good way to record it or anything. Trust me, I'm doing you a favor. Sound is very sci-fi. The most iconic sound of the TARDIS dematerializing is prevalent throughout the game, but it remains the only iconic sound. The rest seem like standard sci-fi sounds, zaps, blasts, and whistles to accompany the puzzles. There's still a chance that much more will be added later, though. It's still a very early version of this game. This game might be breaking my code of not looking at closed beta games. While I haven't seen anyone outright say this game is in closed beta, it's still a very early build of the game, and the first time it's been available to players since being developed. Expect a lot of changes. One more warning, this game plays its sounds automatically, so the minute you visit that link you're going to hear the whole TARDIS whooshing noise and a bunch of music. It startled pretty much every single person who's checked this link already. When starting out, you can choose to log in with your Facebook account, or sign up with an email. As far as I've seen, I haven't noticed any wall spam originating from this game, not saying they won't implement it, but as of right now you're safe, and I don't see any reason for them to do so. If you do choose to use your Facebook's login to sign up, don't worry about filling in the account info block. It's a little misleading. Just click play. regardless of how you decide to create an account. Once you're done, just click play to be taken to the avatar creation and tutorial levels. After this, you can create a character. You have the option of a male or female human, Silurian, catkind, and Cheem. You always start out the game in pajamas, but you can unlock clothing pieces in the shop or from opening shards. The entire game is based around puzzle games, each game having a different function to the overall theme of the level, and often resembling another more popular puzzle game, with an occasional twist. Unfortunately, the game doesn't do well to explain the nuances of some of these puzzles, which can become frustrating when you're under time constraints, so I'll explain them when the time comes. When starting a stage, you must spend 5 Cronins, which replenish themselves slowly as time passes, but I'll get more into these when we get to the cash shop. The very first puzzle you'll come across is Lockpick, which should look very familiar to you if you've ever played Puzzle Bobble, aka Bust-A-Move. In this, you fire the colored pins from the bottom to match the pins on top. 3 or more will remove the pins. Keep going to clear the board. Remember, you can make difficult shots by ricocheting your pins off the wall. Next one you'll see is Repair, which also is referred to as Rewire or Activate. This game bears the most resemblance to Pipe Dream, or the hack game in BioShock, where you must connect the pipes from beginning to end, make sure not to leave any open gaps before the timer goes off. You can rotate the pieces with the mouse wheel and swap them as much as you like. Use the capacitors to close off any gaps and gain bonus points. If you leave a pipe exposed, that pipe will explode and make that portion unplayable for the next round. Chat is probably the easiest puzzle as it practically plays itself early on. It's pretty much Bejeweled, but with a lot more likelihood of ending up with a massive chain combo when you make so much as a single move. It does get harder later on, though. Swap the colored balls to line 3 or more in a row up to remove them, and fill in the gaps with new pieces. This one is pretty easy to figure out. Battle, or Defend, which changes its name and looks to match whatever you are fighting, bears the most resemblance to Super Puzzle Fighter, in which you match as many of the same colored pieces as possible to form large blocks before detonating them with a glowing piece of the same color. This game falls under the most annoying of puzzle game syndromes, not giving you the piece you need until it's far too late. You'll often find your most perfectly set up combos getting trashed because the correct detonator won't drop, or the game will dump a garbage block on your only access point. Barricade is what Tetris would be if you were allowed to place the block where you wanted without having to steer them from the top downward. In this game, the lines on the bottom are constantly being chipped away, and you must create lines in order to fill the gaps. The more lines you fill at once, the sturdier the barricade becomes, and the longer it takes to break through. Unlike Tetris, you have a choice of 3 pieces to choose from at any given time, but don't be shocked when the game tosses 3 of the same pieces at you in a row. It's probably the most intense game to play, as failure will often cause enemies to spawn on screen, and it's painfully affected by lag. Finally, there's Hack, which is the most confusing but misleadingly simple puzzle in the game. In this, you must guide a ball to the goal by turning the stage and removing the colored blocks, allowing the ball to drop into a gate. Twists involved in this game include needing to drop a key onto the gate before opening it, or if you remove less than 3 colored blocks at a time, it will randomly spawn a spike that will attack your ball and possibly destroy it after a few hits, forcing you to start over. Your overarching goal in this game, as well as the reason for doing the puzzles, is to recover the shards that are scattered throughout space and time. In each stage there's a goal, sometimes locating an NPC or guiding them through the stage, all while you're being hindered by a puzzle. Each puzzle has a meter over it, and completing the puzzles causes the meter to fill. Some puzzles, usually Barricade and occasionally Chat, actually start out full and deplete slowly, forcing you to play the puzzle constantly until the main task in the room is completed. Failure usually makes the task at hand much worse. Since you're forced to multitask puzzles, you'll figure out pretty fast that it would be impossible to go solo in this game. So the game, after the training stage at least, assigns you assistants, which are NPCs that perform the bare minimum in a puzzle. You can use them to perform a puzzle you're not particularly fond of, have them distract enemies, or team up together with or without you on the same puzzle to speed it along. The strategy in the game involves knowing who to place where, especially considering that leaving enemies unattended will cause you or your assistants to lose hit points. If you lose all of your HP, you lose the mission. You can assign assistants to puzzles by clicking their portrait and then clicking over the puzzle you want them to complete. Keep in mind that assistants will auto-assign themselves initially if you don't act fast, and oftentimes they'll probably perform a task you'd rather not have them do. Also keep in mind that quite often, an assistant will just stand there after completing a puzzle, so you'll have to assign them to do something else if you want it to get done faster. One final unexplained aspect of gameplay is the gadget you're given at the start of the game. While the item bears resemblance to the sonic screwdriver, it's not technically one when you start out. Originally referred to as the Psychic Wand, this gadget will change appearance, name, and use when you upgrade it with powers that you craft from the various items you receive at the end of every mission. In order to make use of the gadget, you can charge its power by playing puzzles and, depending on your gadget's abilities, performing certain tasks within certain puzzles. Once the wand is fully charged, if you exit your puzzle, you can then click on the charged gadget, turning your cursor into a gadget, and then click on the puzzle and you'll zap a lot of points towards completing it. This is useful to get further in a puzzle you don't like doing, or getting it done faster if you're on a time limit. Me, I just use the laser wand to one-shot autons. I really hate doing that puzzle. That wasn't supposed to happen. Completing missions will give you a shard, which you can choose to spend Cronins to open. The amount of Cronins depends on the size of the shard, and the shards contain bonus materials and clothing or furniture pieces you can decorate your avatar in your TARDIS room with. The basic goal is to keep completing missions until you finally perform all tasks on that planet. There are occasions where you'll need to complete a task multiple times before you unlock later missions, so be wary of that. One thing I've noticed straight away is that people in this game are quiet. There are two ways to reach the game's lobbies. The first is to log back in after having quit the game, and the second is to click on the planet to be taken to that lobby. In here is a large room you can walk around and oftentimes see others in-game. A lot of the time I think players are uncertain if all the people they're seeing are NPCs or not, but if they're in the lobby, they are players. You can invite people to your party, chat with them, and that's about it. If you're looking to play alongside friends in this game, good luck! So far, there is no way to contact someone you cannot physically see. This is made worse by the fact that the game sends you to lobbies at random, causing your party members to jump around lobbies until they finally accidentally run into each other. Even with a method I thought was foolproof, by using the Join Group feature, it didn't work nearly as well as I intended to, as my party members were unable to see the room that I had created, or vice versa. I'm really hoping this gets fixed or improved before the official launch. Another issue is that if you want to bring a friend along, or even another party member, period, you can only go on missions that you have already done, or vice versa. So if I need to do Shard of the Earth, and my party member is still on Domestic Disturbance, I'll have to do every mission they have until they unlock Shard of the Earth. Keep in mind you both have to spend your Cronins to go on missions. It's always better to bring along other people than to rely on the assistants, simply because the assistants are really, really weak, and even the worst puzzle players will do a lot better than the assistants will at most puzzles. The only thing you can outright purchase in this game is Cronins. These are the energy used for both going on missions and opening shards. Sometimes certain clothing or furniture pieces require Cronins to purchase as well. By default, you have 50 max per day. Keep in mind that if you're going fully free to play, there are times where certain shards require more than 50 Cronins to open, meaning that you will have to purchase Cronins to open those shards. Here's the thing though, Cronins are shockingly cheap. You'll get 600 of them for $3, and that total will last a long time if you're only looking to play missions and open shards. If you wanted the different clothing options, you'll probably go through Cronins a lot faster, but you'd still need gold to purchase most of them, and the only way to earn gold is to play the game. While it's a bit hard to judge this game based on how early in the development cycle it is, it's still more than playable. I'm just hoping that a lot of tweaks will be made to this game's system by the time it reaches the official launch. Still, it's a fun and strangely addictive title if you're into that sort of gameplay. Here's my final rating. In order to enjoy this, you're going to have to be at least a fan of puzzle games. Luckily, it's extremely easy to sign up for, and since there's no installation, you can decide for yourself without any real loss of time. It's also a very casual game, not requiring any real-time investment to play. You can hop in and out without feeling lost. Since this game limits playtime by Cronins, if you want to play for more than a few missions at a time, you might want to invest in some. Keep in mind that some shards literally cannot be opened unless you purchase Cronins, and if you want to collect a lot of furniture pieces or clothing options, you'll find that quite a few have a Cronin cost on top of them. Luckily, they are rather cheap compared to most games. If you wanted an action-heavy sci-fi MMO with a Doctor Who twist, this is not it. If you especially don't like puzzle games, I can't imagine a single reason you'd want to play this, but who knows, maybe it'll convert you. While I really hope I can chalk this up to the game being very early in development, the community system is completely broken right now, and hopefully it'll become much easier to find and maintain friends later on down the line. While I can probably chalk this up to my PC, I have found that a lot of people have had a hard time getting this game to run, experiencing severe lag and even crashes that might turn a fun time into a chore. It'll probably make or break your experience in this game. Next time, I don't know. Wait, I still have the NCSoft launcher installed, don't I?
Welcome to a universe in disarray, with rather too many monsters in the mix. It can all lead to world destruction, but you can help save the universe with Doctor Who: Worlds in Time. The universe is in a spot of bother, and by spot, I mean huge, disastrous, end-of-everything kind of bother. This time, the Doctor needs your help. Come and join our adventures in time and space. Visit distant worlds. Solve mind-boggling puzzles. And perhaps your friends can assist. Grab your sonic screwdriver. Travel in the TARDIS. In the first ever Doctor Who online multiplayer game. And take an adventure in time to save the universe.